Appreciate having the opportunity to meet with you this morning. We're looking at possibly doing your hazard mitigation plan update, and if we can get it done within the next year, it's good for 5 years, and so it would be good up until 2018. Your current plan is now expired. Our company name is called Hazard Mitigation Specialist. We started in 2008. We've done somewhere around 30 or 40 plans since then. There's 4 of us involved, 3 are partners. Judy Seuss. Judy was the Deputy Hazard Mitigation Officer for the state of Oklahoma for umpteen years. The gray hair shows it. Yeah. But we finally talked her into coming in with us, and she's been a big asset. Steve Summerlot is in Florida right now, so he wasn't able to be here today. I'm David Van Ostrom, and I was the Oklahoma County Director before I retired, moved to Eufaula, and getting ready to move back to the city, I think. But Michael DeReamer is over here. Michael's our newest addition. Michael just graduated from Oklahoma State University and is kind of getting in. He's been working with Potawatomi County Emergency Management. So we all come from a fairly extensive background of emergency management. Just to kind of refresh your memory, a hazard mitigation plan is just simply a description of the goals and the action projects that you identify that would help to lessen the effects of a disaster of one of the hazards that might occur here on your citizens. And generally, this program is beneficial to you because it gives you access to funding from the federal government for things that you probably don't have the money to do without it. And there have been a lot of jurisdictions that have taken a lot of advantage of this. These are some of the grants that you're eligible for. Obviously, Hazard Mitigation Grant Program is the main one. There's 3 flood mitigation type grants that you'd be eligible for. Yeah, go ahead. It should run.
Trying to find a flood right now. Can't find it.
I know. It's kind of weird talking about floods and a drought. But in most of the grants, the Federal Emergency Management Agency will provide 75% of the funds. The local jurisdiction, which would be Woods County in this case, would provide 25%. Now, in-kind is eligible on this grant. And I can tell you we have had none of the jurisdictions that we've done yet have had to pay out the 25%. We've been able to do it through in-kind contributions.
And the in-kind customarily comes, we have a meeting and we invite local citizens and that sort of thing. And so our theory is this: if you're short a little on your match, we have another meeting. We can have meetings until you make your match. How's that? Does that work for you guys? It generally works.
Yeah, the bigger number of people that you can get to your meetings, the better your match is going to come out. Because for each person that attends, it's $20.61 an hour for their time. So it counts up pretty quick. These are some of the things that you can be eligible for through the hazard mitigation program. Safe rooms is a real popular one. Generators, warning sirens are popular. The NOAA weather radio programs are very popular. Lightning detectors particularly are popular with schools and a lot of the communities that have outdoor activities. They're getting these lightning detectors to let them know when a storm is coming, because that lightning can jump ahead of the storm, as you probably know. These are the folks that we would anticipate would be involved. Of course, Woods County and the unincorporated communities, the incorporated communities, and the public school system. All of the school districts. The plan is good for 5 years once it's been adopted by all of those jurisdictions. Now, the unincorporated jurisdictions would go through the county, but other than that, they would each be able to do their own applications. One of the requirements FEMA is getting real touchy about, they want to involve the public. So any of the meetings that we have, we would want to invite the public to attend. And usually the public won't attend unless they're mad or they want something. Those are the meetings they usually attend. But if we can get them to the meeting, that $20.61 toward your in-kind, that helps. The state of Oklahoma has identified 14 hazards that can occur in Oklahoma. Now, once we start the program, then we'll help you identify those hazards that might occur in Woods County. You're probably not going to have all 14 as a threat. But we'll help you identify the ones that would be, and some of them that you may never consider. You have a lot of important infrastructure in the county. These facilities are all important, particularly if you have a disaster, to the recovery of that disaster or to the protection of the people that live there. What happens if you lose a lot of those facilities? Joplin did. They lost about half their fire department, they lost a hospital, they lost 5 schools, I believe, including their high school. So it does happen. The Woods County Hazard Mitigation Planning Team would develop the hazard mitigation goals. Okay, there it is. Okay. And these goals are goals that you come up with, that you determine are what you want. You would also develop a list of mitigation action projects. Now, your old plan has projects in it, and we would need to go through those projects and see what the status is on them. If they're current, if they've been done, if they are no longer a potential project. We just need to go through an update, and then for each jurisdiction participating in this plan, there must be 2 projects for each hazard that's been identified. So, and that's been changed a little bit from when your last plan was done.
How old was that plan?
It would have been, what?
It's been 5 years.
2005
It expired
or
this
6.
year,
Okay.
so you back it up.
07 or 8.
What's a 5-year plan?
Well, it was 13, it'd be 08, but it was the end of 12.
It expired the end of 12, so
So
I'd say it'd be 07.
07.
So,
And it probably was written, at that point it was taking 6 or 7 months to get approved by FEMA. So the plan was probably actually written using statistics and information from even a year before that. So.
Now, FEMA has made a lot of changes since your plan was done. They've been driving us crazy with changes almost every week for the last year. It's hard to write plans when they're making these changes all the time. But they're kind of getting now where I think that it's stabilizing. There's a lot more jurisdiction specific for each of your incorporated communities and your school districts. We just about have to go out and visit with each jurisdiction and determine what hazards they could be affected by. And there's a lot of that type of stuff. So I think the plans, the way we're going to do it, we've had to completely change our formatting. But I think the way we're going to do it, our plan is still going to be a reasonable size. And originally we thought it was going to end up being like that, but it's not. It's going to stay out like that. We set the action projects in a usable manner where you can go to them, project per page, and it's a pretty easy way of doing it. Do you have any questions so far?
I think that one of the biggest changes that he mentioned, FEMA keeps changing, and one of the biggest changes is that when your plan was originally prepared, the schools were not required to have a mitigation plan. However, FEMA changed that several years ago, and if they want to participate, if they want hazard mitigation grant money, for instance, safe rooms. You know, are you all familiar with the state rebate program? That's coming out of hazard mitigation money. But if the schools want to build a safe room for the school, they either have to have their own plan or participate in a plan. And so that's the reason we've included them as participating in this plan. That makes it a lot easier for everybody, but it makes them eligible for those funds for safe rooms. And again, like David mentioned, the warning sirens and generators for your EOC, for your police and fire stations and that sort of thing. Those are things that they didn't fund back then, and we've been able to get them to fund those through hazard mitigation projects, but we have to have a plan now.
What about
And I know the calls are kind of behind. Are they still doing some of that? I mean,
Yeah, we are. Our guy that's doing it moved though. And I'm not sure if he's been replaced. Is that Rob?
Are they writing plans or are they doing projects?
are they writing plans? See that? I don't know. Now, I'm not behind on it, but
Most of them have given up.
I see.
It's just a never-ending struggle with FEMA. And, you know, they split hairs, and so then you give them what they want, and they come back and they split another hair.
Right.
And for most local jurisdictions, if some of your small towns were to try to write their own plan, they get frustrated and give up. They
Yeah, but
eventually...
for us, the price is right. You used to call it.
Yeah, but...
So using college?
The call.
The cost.
Oh, yeah.
But don't they charge you for that?
It was Dustin, somebody, he changed hands.
Rob was doing it last.
Well, there's somebody got one.
Okay, you all are noted, right?
No,
Oh, yeah.
we're a weed out Beaver.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, and he's...
He went to 911, I heard.
Yeah. So...
Okay, Judy, you want to talk money?
Okay, well, the state, in 2007, and I was still at the state then, we had, as you know, in 1 year we had 15 disasters. We had lots of hazard mitigation money available. And we had, you know, it was just disaster for a couple of years. Well, the money for the hazard mitigation grant program comes about when you've had a disaster. And FEMA takes all the money they spend for response and recovery, they total that up, and they give the state 15% of that to spend on projects. That 15% is then split. 7% goes to planning, 5% goes to your projects like sirens and generators and that sort of thing. Things where you can't do a benefit cost, you can't determine how many lives you saved. And then the rest of it goes to big projects. like the big safe room programs. In this case, as you know, we've only had 2 disasters in the last year, and they haven't generated a lot of money. But we knew that we weren't going to have enough money, so we developed a formula. And this is a formula used by the state so that everybody is treated the same. If you go in and apply for hazard mitigation money, it's the same formula. And it's a basis of $25,000 for your plan, and then 50 cents per capita for your population, and then X number of dollars, and it's $1,000 for each school campus. In this case, you all have 9 school campuses. And then for your small incorporated towns, it's $2,500. So again, that's the same formula that everybody uses, and I know that's the formula that the COGS use if they're writing plans, because it's standardized in that way. We're not, nobody's getting any special favors or any of that kind of stuff. It's just across the board. In this particular case, yours with your population and everything, it came out to the federal share would be $50,000. Excuse me, the project would be $67,000. Your federal share, in other words, if they gave you a grant, would be $50,000, which leaves you a little over $16,000 actually for your share. A couple of things that we do to help you make that is, if I write your application, then I give you an invoice that says, here's how much you owe for writing your application. However, no payment is expected. Please count this as a donated resource. That goes towards your match. That's money you all don't have to pay, and it comes off your match. Another thing that we do, and again, because when I was at the state, I handled the grant funding and the closeouts. When we get through with your plan, I come back and I'm going to help Steve do the closeout. That's a nightmare, keeping track of all your expenses, the receipts and all that sort of thing. But I've done it long enough that it's much easier for me to do it than for him to learn how. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And
Is this like a FEMA closeout after a disaster?
Yes.
Okay, we're familiar with those.
Yeah, you all have done those. And for the hazard mitigation plan, we keep track. Every time we have a meeting, we have everybody sign in, and like David said, every person who attends, that counts so much money. So we put that on the table. We list everybody's name, every meeting, how long was the meeting, and we calculate it. And we keep track of how close you are to making your match. Now there are your supplies, and we mail out a survey to some of your citizens. That those expenses also count. So I'm going to help you keep track of all of that. And that's the reason that so far none of the jurisdictions that we've worked with have had to pay anything on their match. Because, again, if we have to have another meeting and have everybody show up and we discuss it, we can do that. One of the things we'll also do toward the end, once we get your plan done, is to get everybody together, all these towns, the schools, whatever, and I teach them how to fill out those grant applications to get those projects done. I think that's kind of where it got let down in the past, was the projects went into your plan, but nobody knew how to do that. How do you make it happen? And so I come back and sit down and show everybody how to do those applications. I'll do those applications for you, help you do that. We've been real successful with some of the ones we've got. Some of the safe room projects have come because of this process. Another thing that we do, what's happened recently with you all, your plan was written and approved, and then 5 years later it expired. But what happened in between?
Nothing.
Nothing. Exactly. We wanted to change that. And so the jurisdictions that we've written plans for, we go back once a year, about the anniversary of your plan. Or if you have a disaster that affects you, we'll come sit down, let's look at the plan. And I'll tell you what's happened in a couple of jurisdictions. They had a disaster where, let's say they've never had really bad floods before, but all of a sudden they've had a flood, and it created some projects they didn't even think about before. So we make sure that that gets put into your plan so that we can fund a project to solve that problem. And so we do that once a year, and hopefully that will keep your plan updated so that when the next 5 year comes around, I'll be on Social Security and I won't be writing.
Good luck on that.
Okay, I'll probably have to find another source of income. But again, it's just to help you keep your plan updated for the next 5 years.